Welcome in, everybody, to a new era on the NJCAA Network. We're covering junior college baseball. Zach McKinstry with Noah Sharp, and welcome to Junior College Hard 90. Noah, thanks for being with us. Really excited to get this thing going.
It's awesome. I'm glad y'all invited me to be a part of this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And if anyone knows me, talking junior college baseball is kind of my hobby, I guess.
A little bit more than a hobby. I don't know if there are many people that know junior college baseball any more than you do. So excited to get to talk to you about it. Let's start with a Coyote Invitational this weekend. Preseason number 3, Iowa Western going 0-4 in that tournament. Any cause for concern on your end?
I don't think so. I mean, for us over here, we had them number 1, so 1-3. I mean, they're going to be good. I think it's no cause for concern. I don't think. I mean, it's a cold weather school coming down to Texas. I know as a whole that field was a huge, all big names: Salt Lake, Tyler, Weatherford. So I don't really think it's that much of a cause of concern. I mean, I think all 4 games were less than 3 runs. So pitching is going to be there. They just got to get those bats kind of rolling. And by the time they get to conference, I think they're going to be good to go.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of that, you saw Weatherford go 7-0 to start their season and an impressive run in that invitational as well. What do you like about Weatherford so far this season?
From what I've seen in talking with them, there's a lot to like there. They got some big transfers at break. I mean, huge bat. I don't have it right in front of me. What's his name? Trace Mason. I mean, had a huge weekend. I think he's gonna be probably one of our players of the week. I haven't finalized that just yet, but I know there's a lot to like there. They do have a really tough conference with them and McLennan and Grayson and Cisco and Ranger. Like it's a gauntlet over there in that part of the Region 5 world. But I think they're off to a hot start, and from what it looks like, I don't think they're gonna take their foot off the gas anytime soon.
Yeah, I know Mason had 4 extra base hits, 2 homers, 2 doubles in Saturday's doubleheader against Salt Lake and Tyler. So impressive competition to get that done. Anything else stand out for you in that Coyote Invitational?
Not really. I mean, I guess it is really cool seeing Salt Lake come this far east this early. Usually they stay out west, but I think it's been 2 years in the making, them trying to get this trip planned, and I think they're going to try to make it a more annual thing, them coming out this far. I know them and the Weatherford staff kind of hit it off when they were in Grand Junction 2 years ago. So I think hopefully they come out west more. I know they've hit Amarillo on the way. They hit the Arizona schools. I think they hit I think it was a Division 2 school on the way. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's going to be really cool to see, especially these west schools kind of come more east. Texas isn't super east, but seeing a school from Utah come down here was really awesome to see.
Yeah, and there's really been no shortage of those top-tier matchups to start the season with teams going all over the place. We saw it in that tournament of champions at San Jack. The thing that stood out to me, New Mexico Junior College, 3-0 in that tournament. I think they're 7-3 overall to start the season so far, but a good start for the Thunderbirds.
Mm-hmm. They're another one we really liked. Again, they're in that tough Region 5 kind of deal. So I think they play Weatherford maybe once this year before you get to regionals, but it was them and Midland really were the top 2 teams for me in that Region 5 West. And being the Howard alum, it pains me to say that because they're the rivals. And if you're watching the video, you see I'm rocking the Howard for the first one of these. Gotta show love to what got this started. But New Mexico's gonna be a lot of fun. Their hitting's gonna be good. Their pitching's gonna be good. In that ballpark, when they play at home, it just flies out of there. And so they're gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, getting it done at a neutral site, too, in those 3 games. Let's move down to Florida. Florida Southwestern sweeping number 8, Flodar, in that big doubleheader. What a crazy couple games those were.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of runs. I looked at a couple of the box scores today when going through some stuff. And, I mean, you have your typical names. Luke Orphy, I couldn't be any higher praise on him. And I think everything I've done so far this year, I was like, if I know Golden Spikes is a Division 1 award, but it's a all-encompassing amateur baseball award, and I think he should be on at least the watch list for preseason just because of what he did last year and then moving into Florida. And he's picked up right where he's left off. I think he had 2 homers on the week. I think a double in there somewhere, stole a couple bases, but he's picked up right where he left off last year, and he's going to keep going.
Yeah, let's move down to Chipola. We talked about that PCB Classic where they went on to win it, had a phenomenal effort in that, but following not the best last week. They had 3 straight losses, one at D2 Enterprise State and then 2 against Walters State. So Chipola slipping up against PC after that PCB tournament. Is that anything to you?
No, I mean, if you know anything about Jeff over there, his team's going to be competitive. They're going to play a tough preseason schedule to then, if you know anything about the Panama or Panhandle of Florida, you know how crazy that is with Gulf Coast State, with Northwest Florida. I'm forgetting one other one, but it is probably one of the toughest conferences in the country, and they're just playing tough to be tough. I mean, Walter State and them have met a couple times in Grand Junction. I think when they went back to back, I think they beat Walter State in that second one. I think it was 2018. So they're no strangers there. So really, I mean, Chipola is just iron sharpens iron. And I know Jeff is going to have his guys ready come the season or come conference play, I should say. But I really don't think that's anything too concerning. I know they went on a crazy, crazy run at that Panama City Beach one. I think they got into the championship on a run differential. That was one where Indian River State really impressed me on that one. And then they played there. And I think it came down to a double play to end the game with like runners in scoring position. So Chipola is going to be battle tested. And I don't think that's anything to worry just yet.
Yeah, and then outside of Florida, continuing in Florida, you got Gulf Coast State, who's 8-1, out to a hot start. Had a win against preseason number 24 John A. Logan on Monday. So you add them into the Florida mix, and things are going to get really competitive as we start getting into the season.
Mm-hmm. And John A. Logan is one of those another Midwest school. They really come down. They've played now. I think they played in Alabama today or earlier this week. But that's another one. Talking with them, a lot of what they're usually really big bats, really heavy pitching, and this year they're a little bit more athletic when it comes to it. So they're kind of still finding their groove, but it's a lot like Iowa Western. They're coming down, they're in the cold. I know they just built a brand new facility. I think it's almost done up there. But they should be right hitting their stride come conference play with the Wabashes, with the Lincoln Trails, with that whole Midwest scene. So they kind of stumbled out the gates, but I don't think, again, that's nothing to worry about until it comes to probably May, March, whenever conference play really gets heated up.
Let's move down to Division II. The first thing to note out of D2, Pearl River 6-1, had that clutch late home run that I saw floating around on Twitter against Baton Rouge CC in their sweep a couple days ago. That was a phenomenal win, and got to like Pearl River in Mississippi in the early starts of the season.
Yeah, I think their only loss this year is to Chipola. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And I know those Baton Rouge things. I mean, that was a tweet or an X or whatever you want to call it by me that went a little bit, if you want to call it that, where, like I've said, Mississippi does junior college baseball different. All their facilities, I was talking with Meridian today, their brand new facilities are finally getting going. Turf fields, great jump. Like, I mean, if you look at it, it is nothing like anywhere else. And all the schools are well taken care of, and they love their athletics. So Pearl River is Pearl River, and with the LSU units now making that jump to D1, to say Region 23 is theirs to lose might be an understatement because of how tough that region is. But foot on the gas, that's what they do.
Yeah, and then not too far away in Alabama, you got Wallace CC Dothan. Rough start for them in that PCB College Baseball Classic, 0-4, and they lost their first 5 games. But again, we talked about it, that tough competition at the start of the season. Where's the balance between playing easy games to kind of get wins on the schedule and getting your guys ready with this tough competition at the early parts of the season?
I mean, Wallace is one of those schools where they made that drop down last year from Division 1 to Division 2. And usually it's a lot like Pima this year. They had a whole D1 roster from the year before. They're dropping down. They were successful at the Division 1. They returned that whole sophomore staff. So they're a younger team. They're super athletic, but Alabama is an interesting one where it's going to be a dogfight, dog world. And again, it's like Arizona. If you know anything about Arizona, the D2 Arizona schools, their records never really tell you how good of a team they are. I think it was a couple of years ago, Glendale made it to the World Series, and they got to the World Series and they were a 500 team. But then you get the metal bats and you get competition that's your level. I put that in air quotes, but you're playing more to your level and stuff ends up just happening. I think Wallace Dothan, yes, it's a rough start. It's not the start they wanted, but I don't think, again, I always try to put a spin on it in a good way. It's not something to worry about yet. If it happens for another week, another 2, 3 weeks, then I think, okay, we need to kind of look at where things are. But they're young. They lost a lot from last year's team. So, I mean, it's just like anything. It's a new roster. It's a new turnover. So you got to just kind of figure out where the roster lies. And come next month, I bet you they'll be foot on the gas back to the Wallace that we've known the last couple of years.
All right, Noah, anything else on D2 before we jump on to D3?
Not really off the top of my head. I mean, Pima, I guess, wow, I say it not off the top of my head, and then immediately look at the notes and have a thing. But Pima's rolling. They're 11-1, beat Paradise Valley, or they split. They had a 10-game win streak going into the last week. I don't know who they have this week, but a lot more of these schools are going to start playing this next week. St. John Rivers is another one in Florida that's, I mean, D2 is awesome, but nothing off the top of my head as of or anymore.
There you go. Now let's go on to D3. That's similar. A lot of D3 schools are going to start this weekend as well. But the Dallas schools have got going. Dallas College Richland 1-6 against D1 opponents. Played all 7 of those against Vernon College and Bossier Parish. Some Division I competition for Dallas College Richland. And then for Dallas College Eastfield, they're 2-2 versus D1 opponents. They played all 4 against Grayson College. And then 4-0 against Division II. They played Arkansas State, Three Rivers. So what have you seen out of those Dallas schools in their first couple series?
The Dallas schools are okay. So for those that don't know, the Dallas schools, there's I think 6 of them, maybe 5 of them, 5 or 6. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're all very, very competitive. They're again a lot like say the Arizona schools, where their record, so they beat up on each other in conference, and then if you're going to play non-conference, well, you're going to play one of these D2s or D1s that are nationally known from Grayson, from Vernon, from bigger schools. So the competition is going to be a little bit tougher, but Richland has shown in the past. I mean, last year they won the region. Eastfield is another one. They've gone to 3 straight national titles. They've lost all 3, but they've gone to 3 straight national titles, which is not an easy feat with especially the turnover. I know Eastfield's going, I believe, over to Amarillo this weekend. So I'd expect a ton of home runs, ton of runs, because it is a launching pad out there in Amarillo. If you know anything about the Panhandle, the wind just blows. But I think for those two, they're going to be beating up on each other come later in the conference season. But there's a lot to like, nothing to worry about. I mean, it's week 3 going into week 4. Nothing to worry about just yet, because really no conference play has started, and that's the games that really, really matter.
Yeah, and then the rest of those D3 teams, a lot of them do start this weekend. A lot of them still waiting to try and get through this snow and winter weather towards later February. But Noah, that gives us a good breaking point. We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, we'll preview the upcoming matchups coming up this weekend and early next week here on the NJCAA Network.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Junior College Hard 90. I'm Zach McKinstry. Alongside is Noah Sharp of the Junior College Baseball blog. Let's get into some upcoming matchups, Noah. Let's start with Division I. Number 20 Cali taking on number 2 McLennan Friday to Saturday in a 3-game set. That should be an exciting 3-game stand.
I know. I think this is Cali's first real series of the year, and McLennan started last week. I think went 3-0 against Western Texas. So this is going to be a little bit more of a tougher test for them early on in the season.
Yeah, kind of find out where you're at in those 3 games. Then we talked about Iowa Western already, preseason number 3 in the NJCAA rankings. Get a chance to get back on track against number 10 Crowder in their weekend matchup.
This is one every year. I think for the 9 years I've been doing this, Iowa Western, Crowder, week 3 or 4 happens every year. It's always a huge, huge one. I think there's actually a stream for this one. If it's at Crowder, I'm pretty sure there'll be a stream, which if you want to tune in, this would be one to watch.
Oh, yeah. And then moving on, we talked about LSU Eunice as well, making that jump up to Division I. They're 10-0 so far in the number 9 preseason ranking, and they've got some tough opponents on the way. Division II, number 15, Kellogg, and Division I receiving votes, Tyler. Both of those teams coming to town over the weekend and through the early part of next week.
Tyler's already kind of getting going, like we were talking in that Weatherford deal this past weekend. Kellogg's another cold weather school that's going to finally get their first go going. I believe they make this trip every year. It's a lot of fun to see them, those cold weather schools making it down south, really getting going early. I know a lot of them go to Florida, a lot of them go to the Carolinas, not obviously this upcoming weekend, but in the next couple, I know there's a bunch that are going that way.
And then the last big one out of Division I, number 11, Weatherford. They get to take on that New Mexico junior college team that, again, was 3-0 in that Tournament of Champions last weekend. And they'll also play Division I receiving votes, Tyler, who will have a tough test a couple of times over the next week.
I mean, Weatherford has shown they're ready for anything. New Mexico, I mean, this could potentially be a preview of the Region 5 bid to go to the World Series. I would not be surprised at all if those two aren't meeting late into the season to really show who should go. Both have gone recently. Both teams know how to pitch, know how to hit, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
On to Division II, you got number 2 East Central on Thursday playing host to Division I, number 13 Shelton State, a team that always finds to sneak their way in to high levels in the region tournaments or into those national tournaments. That's going to be a good matchup to see where East Central stands in the Division II ranks.
Their team the last couple of years in Mississippi that's really come on strong. They were, I believe, the at-large bid last year, but there's going to be that's going to be a good one. Shelton State's always to say a sleeper at this point, I think would be doing them wrong, but they're always a team that, oh yeah, they're there and they end up being in Grand Junction. I think they've gone 2 or 3 of the last 4 years, and so they're always a team that's a lot of fun to watch.
And then a big exciting matchup out of Division II, number 3 St. John's River State taking on number 4 Heartland on Thursday, and then on Saturday they have number 12 Jones. So right out of the gate, the Vikings are getting into it with some tough competition.
So I believe there's a tournament. I don't know all the teams that are taking part in it. It might just kind of be a round robin invitational kind of deal. But I know Heartland's really getting their season started coming from, gosh, I'm not going to even say where they're from because I'm going to say it wrong, but they're coming down, I think probably a spring break trip, but they've got like 4 or 5 other huge games going on. Jones, a big time school from Mississippi going over there. I had who they were throwing. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's 5 or 6 games going on, all top end teams over there that are going to battle it out in Florida.
Yeah, I think Northeast is the other team in that tournament out of Mississippi. So all around good talent throughout that one. On to Division III, number 2 Dallas College Eastfield continues their tough start with Division II number 17 Des Moines area on Saturday, and then number 1 RCSJ Gloucester gets their season started against number 7 Surrey. The 2 big D3 matchups coming up.
I think Des Moines also playing another Dallas school. I think they're playing North Lake, which that's a really cool, if you know anything, former Texas Ranger and Wallace State pitcher Derek Holland is actually the voluntary assistant there, which is a fun follow if you care to follow that one. But that one's going to be a lot of fun. I think Des Moines can hit. I always seem to mix up them and Iowa Central, but those Iowa teams can hit. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's their first go around this year so far, but coming down to Dallas, it's a lot of teams do that. I know Joliet does it for their spring break trip, which is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully I can catch them this year finally. And then Gloucester, I'm excited to see them get going. I mean, a 3-peat, we almost had one on Sunday, didn't happen, but if any team can do it, Gloucester, I think, is going to be a team that can put their foot down and do it. I think the last 3-peat at any level might have been Tyler when they were Division III, and they ran into Gloucester in those national titles multiple times. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see them get going.
Yeah, the Roadrunners have been rolling. We'll see if that continues through the start of the 2025 season. And one more break on the way. When we come back, our first segment of Hard 90, and we unleash Noah Sharp with his 90 seconds to rant about junior college baseball.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to Junior College Hard 90. It is time for Noah Sharp to do his Hard 90. 90 seconds, Noah. Let's hear what you got.
So hopefully you don't have a clock on me, because knowing me, it might be a little bit longer than 90, and I've already wasted like 15 seconds. So, hey, first time going, it is what it is. So this week, guys, NCAA, the Division I start this week. So a lot of junior college guys, obviously, playing opening weekends. Some names you really should keep an eye on. Brett Iredale from NMJC over in Arkansas. I think he started short for them. Cade Klein from Blinn, huge part of why Blinn won a national title last year. He's getting this over there at Houston. Kyle Morrison from Shelton State over at South Alabama. Brandon Stone was I think an All-American. I had him as a national pitcher of the year. Going to be at South Carolina this next weekend from Johnson County. Tyson Green, another All-American from last year from St. John Rivers at SIU Carbondale. And then Derek Curda, I believe that's how you say it, from Western Oklahoma State, going to start over there at Kansas, who loves their junior college guys. Another, I guess, rant. You got NOC Talks, been off to a really, really hot start. 8-0. I believe they have outscored their opponents 124-8 in 8 games, which that is impressive. So, hey, I think, as far as I know, they're going to keep their foot on that gas. And then rounding out the rant, a player that I think should really get kind of a nod is Cameron Stuckenborg from Dodge City. Threw a complete game shutout this past week and also hit 500 on the week. So, throw a complete game. It was 5 innings, struck out 3. I think he had like a walk and a hit. But hey, if you can do it on both sides of the ball, you got to get a shot at least.
There you go. The first ever Hard 90 from Noah Sharp, and he covers all his bases. 2A guys continuing to rise throughout junior college. We're seeing more and more of them excel at the next level as well. So a lot of excitement as those 4-year schools start this weekend, but junior college has been cooking already for a couple of weeks, and we're happy to give it to you the best we can. So thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Junior College Hard 90, and we hope you're back next week.